Welcome back, Nick. Do you remember that ad? I don't know what a tracker mortgage is. Well, if you're a first-time buyer, you know how crucial it is to understand everything there is to know about getting a mortgage.
And joining us to chat about useful mortgage tips is financial advisor Paul Merriman of askpaul.ie. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning to you both.
You're very welcome, as
Thank
always. It is quite a daunting process, isn't it, applying for a mortgage, knowing what to look for if you're trying to buy your first home, let's say.
And don't forget, it's the biggest financial decision you're probably ever going to make.
Of course.
So you really have to get advice. That's the big thing. I'm also going to say stay away from the banks. Try and get a mortgage broker. They do all the work for you. They're going to get the best rates. They should be looking after you.
But they'll charge you.
Won't
no, they don't charge you. Most of them don't charge. They get commission on the back of it, but it doesn't affect your rates.
Okay, good.
So again, it's a good one.
I have to say, when I was buying my first home, or when we were buying our first home, I wouldn't have realised that it was free to use a mortgage broker.
But you see, the thing is that why I say don't go to the banks is there's a big difference in the rates in the banks. So just to give you an example, if you're a first-time buyer and taking the average purchase price of 320k, 10% deposit, you're going to be borrowing 288,000. One of the banks is 4.5% variable and the other is 3.15. That's a difference of 96 grand in interest over the term of your mortgage.
It's gigantic, isn't it?
It's 100 grand, yeah.
So again, just going into your own bank and dealing with your own bank, I think is madness. I don't think anyone should do it. I think everyone should go to a mortgage broker or a financial advisor and
let them do the shopping around for you.
Shopping around for you. Yeah, it's really, really easy. You get one application in, they'll do all the research and come back with the best rates.
Okay. So in terms of getting a mortgage, then you've put together a little checklist for us to kind of do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
And you start with know what you're looking for first.
Know what you're looking for. Have a budget is a big one. I've said this on this show loads of times. Everyone needs to have a personal budget. If you need a template, get in touch with me. I can get you a free template over by email. The next thing we have is to prepare all the paperwork. So you're going to need really good 6 months accounts. The accounts is the key thing here. And no silly things in the accounts like no overdraft. Don't be living in your overdraft all the time. No referral fees. And no betting. So if you have a betting app, that's a big.
One of those Paddy Power accounts,
just put it straight in the bin. Yeah, it's horrendous. It's a big no-no. So again, that's probably the biggest.
And you might be someone that just has a fiver bet on Cheltenham or something like that once a year.
Once they see it,
but it says the wrong things about the person from a bank's point of view.
Once they see it coming out of your bank account, they just go, no, it's horrendous. It could be just a fiver bet. But again, why do it? Just go into the bookies, we're going to make a bet.
£150 a month for Debenhams online. Would they have the same thing?
No.
But you know what I mean? No, I don't understand that.
Well, I think it's a gambling. They're afraid someone's going to have a gambling addiction, get into gambling, and not going to pay their mortgage, going to struggle with the repayments of the mortgage. That's a really obvious thing for me.
So it's not just a case of whether you're financially capable of paying back a mortgage anymore.
No, definitely. Well, sorry, that's a big part. You have to show, if you're a first-time buyer watching today, you need to show the capability to buy. So if you do a calculator, there's loads of calculators free online. Go into one of the calculators and you know your mortgage is going to be 1,500 quid a month. You need to show the bank that you can afford maybe 1,800 or 1,900 quid. So if you're renting, they'll take the rent, but you need to have savings as well.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So in that situation, if you're renting for 1,200, you need to have 700 quid savings then as well on top of it. So it's really difficult, especially if you're renting, to try and get the deposit up as well. So, but there's loads of things. There's the Help to Buy scheme for the first-time buyers, which is really, really good. And then there's a Rebuilding Ireland home loans, which is excellent. I think it's really, really clever. It's a really good product. The problem with it is not many people qualify for it.
This is a government initiative.
It's a government initiative, yeah. And the interest rate's really low. It's fixed at 2% for the term of the mortgage. It's a brilliant mortgage if you can get one. But the people qualifying is really, really low, which is a shame because I really thought when Owen Murphy brought it out, I thought it was going to make a big impact in the market and get loads of people onto the lower interest rates. I have a big problem with the interest rates that the banks in Ireland charge. In
You've
Spain,
always had that bone about that.
In Spain, you know, you can get a mortgage for 2% fixed for first-time buyers for 25 years. You know, here it's 3.5. It's just madness. You know, and they're borrowing. Our banks are borrowing from the same bank, the ECB, as those banks. So it's just. It's ridiculous.
But it's what becomes the norm in a territory, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But again, just again to say, with the interest rates are very important. Not just because you pay less interest or your monthly repayment is smaller. It's over the term of the mortgage and makes a massive difference. So I'd always recommend, like, there's a very good bank, I won't mention any names on the show, but a really good bank that has a 2.3% fixed, or 2.3% fixed for 2 years. That's really good. So I'd also recommend anyone, no, we're tight for time, but I'd recommend anyone that's going into a mortgage to maybe consider fixing for 5 or 7 years, because interest rates are going to start increasing by the end of 2019. So I think they're going to be 2% higher come 2022, 2023. So, you know.
And I presume the days of the tracker mortgage are long gone, aren't they?
Well, loads of people have tracker mortgages.
Yeah.
Again, if you're watching the show and you have a tracker mortgage, that tracker mortgage is going to start increasing. So you've had a really low interest rate for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
So
well,
now's the time to make
now
a
is
change.
the time.
Yeah, but it'll never increase as much as the...
No, not change. Just be careful. Don't ever switch a tracker mortgage.
No,
Yeah.
leave it.
But now is the time to get yourself financially prepared for an increase in your rates and your mortgage repayment by the end of 2019. So you really want to keep an eye on that, because and then it goes to 2% extra. So just really be careful, because if you have a tracker, all right, great. You're going to get hammered in the next 3 or 4 years, in my opinion, when interest rate increases. Yeah.
But then will it come back then?
No, I think the interest rates are going to increase. I think we're living in an environment now in Ireland where it's going to be the cheapest interest rates that you're going to see for a very long time. One of the questions I get on my Facebook page asked Paul all the time is, do I fix, or is it a good time to buy? So the answer to that is yes, fix. And I do think it's a good time to buy, because you're going to get the cheapest interest rates. So even if the properties fall in value by, say, 10 or 15% in 3 years' time or 4 years' time, your interest rate's going to be much higher when you go to buy that property.
Yeah, of
so
course,
so
yeah.
there's look, you have to weigh up your situation, but again, getting qualified advice is such an important thing to do.
And preparing your documents as well, and kind of looking ahead 6 months,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
make your
And
accounts look as healthy as
Yeah,
possible.
and if anyone, another question I always get is self-employed people, what do they need to do? They need to have 3 years audited accounts.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
really difficult. If anyone is in a PAYE, if anyone's an employee and they're thinking of jumping ship to go out to a self-employed, try and get your mortgage application in before you do that, and try and get a mortgage drawn down, because otherwise you wait 3 years to get your self-employed accounts.
Great advice, as always, Paul. People can head on to Facebook to askpaul.ie.
They can indeed, yeah.
Great, good to see
Thanks
you,
so
Paul.
much.
Thank you, Paul.
Still to come, we're serving up mushroom and langoustine pasta in the kitchen. Now we're talking.
Lovely, nice. While over on the catwalk, we've styles for a formal office party this festive season. See you soon.